All right, so you see up on the screen, this is what we have done so far in the exterior. Just want to briefly go over what we have completed. You've seen the scaffolding down, but up on top, we repaired or replaced all wood rot in the entire exterior, repaired the stained glass windows, so that the ones that open still now open, and some of the ones up top needed repair as well, and they were repaired. All of the flashing around the roofing and doors and windows and so forth has been replaced with copper. And areas where the wood rotted prematurely, but it didn't have flashing, now has covered with copper. The exterior has been painted. I know it was a little bit of a leap to go that bright cream color, but isn't it glow? We added security fencing in the back and improved lighting around the building. As well as improving the fencing between us and Corinthian. Hang on just a sec, I gotta. Oh yeah, we replaced the boilers as well. Yeah. Okay, so the remaining tasks outside are, well, actually the dumpster pad has been poured, and some of the cracked concrete over there by on the left side of the building around the PG&E vault has also been re-poured to level out. There will be fencing around the valves. We did look once more at whether we could use gates after the discussion at the board meeting, and people said they wanted the most garden space available. So we looked again at whether we could use cages over the vaults, over the valves, and it just really wasn't practical. So there will be a fence around the right front, but not around the left front. There will be fencing around the dumpster pad, and as soon as that fencing is up, we'll be able to add composting and recycling bins and bins for collection and bins in our building. Yay! So you might see there's also construction around the entrance around the basement. The fence around the basement is being raised and having fleur-de-lis on it. It makes it harder to just climb over. You could used to be able to just step over it. And so we're trying to improve the safety of our staff leaving at night. We're putting a gate in front between us and the big ugly building. We've talked about it a long time, and we're just doing it. Oh, no, there's Corinthian, and then there's the big ugly building. Okay. WeWork, I guess, is who is in bankruptcy over it now. There's also the front steps. The surface layer of concrete has been chipping away, so we're going to grind them even and stain them. We've ordered, and within a couple of weeks, we'll have an awning over the ADA ramp entrance, so it won't be raining in the front door anymore. That's an aluminum awning that will be painted like hammered copper. But anyway, it's aluminum. It should last forever. It goes down to the steps between the two buildings, runs along the side. So right at the top of the ADA entrance, we've had it fenced off for the construction. It's been a wood fence. It will be a gate. There's no emergency exits into that corridor for any building. So anyway, taking care of that. And there's additional exterior lighting that is going to go up. We're still working on, we're replacing some that's along the inside of the ramp in the basement entrance area. They've just failed. So those will be replaced, as well as additional lights mounted on our building. to shine down. Okay, interior, here we come. So the carpet is, as you can see, has got wrinkles in it, which is a dangerous trip hazard. It was glued down, the glue crystallized, it pulled up, and it can't be stretched because it's not a stretched carpet. So, and as you can see places it's torn up. So it will be replaced. The color we've chosen is similar to the field color here. It's not a pattern, it's a solid, but everyone liked the look of the sanctuary pretty much as it is. No one said, I hate that color of carpet. So we're going with the same color carpet, and we're having a new labyrinth the same size made of the field carpet and a contrasting carpet. It's actually, they're not able to do the same design. It will still be the same type. It'll still come in and go to the left towards the windows, but it's a six circuit instead of 7. We talked to them about whether they could do our design, and the answer was no, not really. It's all in a CAD system and so forth that they cut all the pieces. There is probably a way. There's always someone you can pay a large amount of money to weave a new carpet. This is someone who knows how to make them out of the same carpet squares that are going on down for a construction cost of $10,000, which is pretty reasonable. So when we walked the halls, walked the whole building with our designer, she said, you know, this is nice and cushy, but the stair carpet is unsafe. It's too loose. They put deep padding on it, I guess, so it would be quiet, but it makes it, you step into it and then it's not a continuous size, right size step, and it slides a little bit. So same deal, same color. Fireside room, same color, same deal, replace it. And probably the library as well. The office carpet is still in good shape except for 2 squares that have big stains in them, but we have some spares. So we can just replace that. It's nice carpet, it's good color for the office. No, I mean the office, downstairs. Okay, and then hard flooring, if you've looked at the ADA entrance over there and the hallway and so forth, it's completely worn. It's no longer pattern, it's worn. And we were going to replace it with marmoleum, but then we walked with the designer who said, no. Replace it with wood grain vinyl plank. It wears better. It doesn't get that, it has a much deeper doesn't have a little wear layer on top and then go white, it stays. And because it's got the little texture, it doesn't get as slick when it gets wet. So that'll be for the front, for the narthex, for the back and the hall, for the kitchen. The floor has some water damage, and we'll just do it all with the same. Because all these areas are getting carpet that are the same color that it comes onto. She'll choose something that goes with our woodwork and transitions to the carpet a little less abruptly. So as far as what goes in this bathroom is being redesigned, and so something will be chosen, not necessarily that wood. It may be new tile. And we had water damage on the chancel arch, which you can see the blue tape is holding up the repair. Bet you guys didn't notice that. Okay, AV systems. So we're looking at getting a big video screen up there to do away with having to have the projector in the choir section. We'll still use that projector in Hetty Porter Hall and in Fireside Room and so forth. It's a great projector. It's just in the way here. It's not the best thing. No, it'll be video. Yeah, so that's the idea. So we're going to run some video cable down. As long as we're doing that, we'll have a switch and be able to run so people can plug in here and not have to be running Zoom. You can just plug in and run on the video screen. There'll be one in the arch here as well. Let's see, so these guys we've been using, but as you know, they're frustrating because they cut out. And so we'll replace them. And then actually they're good speakers, so we may get them, send them in to see if they can be repaired for use in Hattie Porter. So we need a new assistive listening system. The old one actually is, the basic technology is still current, but the actual electronics are old. And so for actually not too much money, we got a great quote for a new system, and by a different company that we hadn't worked with, Williams Sound, but I guess they're very prominent in this area. And Monty went and listened to their system in a neighboring church and said it was great. So that'll be nice. And we also want to have an installed simple audio system in Hattie Porter Hall with its own portable mic, so you can just turn on a mic and talk. It won't be a fancy listen to a big movie, or, it'll be, you can talk to the crowd. Anyone wants more than that, they can bring their system, and they do. The ecstatic dance people have a big system. We're never gonna do that. But we do want people to be able to, do the toast to the bride or whatever. And that system will live in the closet between the buildings, between the rooms. Okay, so we hired a design consultant who has fantastic ideas. And she walked the building and just in that process gave us a bunch of great ideas. It's like, okay, that was sure worth it. So she'll do the design for the upstairs bathroom, which is primarily aesthetic, plus a new toilet that is water friendly, that kind of thing. But that bathroom is not big enough to meet ADA requirements. So many folks who are disabled find it convenient because it does have grab bars and will have grab bars and use it, and that's lovely. But it never will be fully ADA compliant because it's not got a 5-foot diameter turning radius. But the downstairs bathrooms are already ADA compliant, so it'll just be a convenient bathroom for many people to use. So she will, like I mentioned, she'll specify what vinyl planking, what color, what manufacturer is commercially a good company to work with. She'll specify furniture and accessories to sort of spruce up the narthex. When she came through, she said, well, let's look at this table. And it's like, this is a beautiful table. Refinish this table. Don't get rid of it. Refinish this table.
Sorry, just trying to make this bigger.
Okay. And so things like that. So she definitely has an eye for what can you do with what you have and make things just refresh what you see that keeps in the general style, but a little more modern or a little more, anyway, more aesthetic, prettier. So in that vein, we walked through the basement bathrooms and said, yeah, you can improve the look of these if you take the wainscot off and put a nice wallpaper. It's just a more modern look. She said your counters are fine, your sinks are fine, your toilets are fine. They all are commercial, functioning, keep them. Our lighting down there has been going and some of the lights are out. So she'll specify a more modern LED strip lights to go where the old ones are. And she said, you guys really ought to have tile behind the urinal. It's ever so much more sanitary. But the colors and so forth, the floors down there are fine. They don't need to be replaced. There's, functionally, those bathrooms are fine. So it's just trying to use minimum cost for aesthetic upgrades. Okay, so sanctuary chairs. Just as a quick background, our dear beloved theater seating was installed in the 60s, and it was, it's 20s or 30s theater seats. And we love them, but they really don't work for the modern requirements of people of different sizes and shapes and so forth. So at the board meeting, everyone who was there, I think it was pretty close to unanimous, said, yeah, it was unanimously said, okay, we love the look of our theater seats, but it's time for them to go. So we'll be able to add, we're not talking about changing the shape. We're talking about getting new chairs that can be ganged together in a radius, so we can keep the basic layout we have. Take some out for additional wheelchair space, have arms not on every one, but every third one. So there's two together and then one. And they're wider chairs to begin with. So they just will be more comfortable, more flexible. If the folks are ambitious, they can move them into straight lines. Personally, I'm really hoping people don't do that much, because it will be non-trivial to get them back in line, unless they just take the whole line and move it. Yeah, but anyway, that's a separate issue. Yeah. Right. Yeah, Dina.
I was at the urban sanctuary this morning.
Hang on.
Not moving. I was at the Urban Sanctuary this morning. They had a special soulful Sunday service, which was really lovely. But anyway, I was noticing their chairs, and they have movable chairs that hook together, and they had like a little shelf below the seat for putting hymnals and stuff
Yes.
in.
So
I
every other
wondered-
chair will have one of those. Not every chair needs a hymnal, but
Right.
they're under chair racks who would go on every other chair.
Yeah, I thought it was great, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have not quite exact chairs. Do you want to talk about that,
Yeah,
Sue?
so in the back of the row there are three
Yeah.
sample chairs in a row. The first two were earlier ones. No, they're not. I have sample new chairs. That
this
one
one?
is not in the running anymore.
But this is the right color, right?
It's sort of. It's actually a slightly different fabric, but it's similar color.
It was under feast, but.
Okay. This is the in the running most likely chair. There you go. It doesn't have the ganging mechanism on it because it was a sample, but it is able to be ganged in a circle. And the fabric is actually that little swatch, which is a little warmer that Vanna is showing you. So anyway, that's it. It's, it has a 25-year warranty on that foam. It's just designed not to break down. And how do you feel about that? Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. Now, there are plaques on all of the not all, but a lot of them. Those will be kept, no matter what. It's a later discussion about what to do with them, but they will be kept and displayed one way or another. Yeah, Dina, what's the other question?
I sat upstairs this morning and realized how horribly uncomfortable the spacing is between.
Yeah.
I'm not that tall, and my knees were hitting the chair in front of me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I see you said balcony seats replaced, yeah. So anyway, just,
Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot reconfigure the steps size on the balcony. But we're not putting bigger chairs there. We're actually, if you sat up there, you would recognize that there is no padding on those seats.
oh, yeah.
And they are not as nicely detailed as these. They're just a plain plywood back. So when these come out, they'll actually go up into the balcony. So we'll still have fixed, so I just don't, it is so narrow up there, I don't want chairs movable. They'll get up there, screwed down to the floor. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of things to do with the plaques, either leave them up there or put them down here somewhere or on a frame or around them. Anyway, there were a lot of great ideas on what to do with them, and that's later.
There's a question in the chat.
Okay, could you have a shorter person sit in the chair to see if their feet hit the floor? Yes, I did. I asked, Susan Miller was one of those people who said, I'm really concerned about the height of the chair. The cushy ones we have in the closet in Headquarter Hall are very cushy, but they're too tall for me. You know, those are dining chairs, and these chairs are shorter. There's not, I can't get a shorter, well, there's one chair that is made that's an inch shorter, but it's only Chinese made, and it doesn't have as long a warranty, and it doesn't gang in a circle. So that's the height chair we're gonna have. The front is curved, so even if you've got to sit forward in it a little bit to get your feet on the floor, you won't have a hard lip underneath your thighs. And they are a little deeper and more comfy, so I expect to have some back pillows available. If you're a short person and need to sit front, grab a back pillow on your way in. We already have some, or if you need a kid to lie down on the back seats, that can be done too. Okay, so part of what we get to talk about here is whether there's a strong preference. You know, we've already discussed and voted about replacing the field chairs. The question now is what to do other than always keeping some of the wood, the back chairs like this, right? And this. We use them on the stage. Guitars Aloud uses them. They're good chairs. The question is whether to replace the back ones, the rest of the back ones, or not. And so there's a question, does the congregation have a strong preference one way or another? At the last board meeting, there was a discussion. There was equal number of people, one way and the other. You know, if there's a strong preference, then okay. If there's not a strong preference from the folks here, I'd like to leave it to the designer and us based on financing. And so let me go through some reasons that people said for changing them and some reasons that people said for not changing them. Then we'll have a discussion, and then we'll see. Do you guys have a strong feeling one way or another? Or should we just make a decision? So we're coming up on the participation section. Come on. Okay, so people 4 would like those back chairs to be the same so that they can be interchanged. If they do get moved, it doesn't matter exactly which non-armed chair goes in the back. I would not put any arms in the back because sometimes people have their, 5-year-olds or whoever lying across them. Just gonna leave that as an option. But having the same chair allows them to be, if they get moved in, to be able to move in and out. And then it's a uniform appearance to the back instead of new, older. They're more comfortable because even those are, nice looking chairs, their padding is pretty worn. If we did replace them, I would keep a set behind the choir for use up here and just replace the rest of them around. And then those others can be repurposed in the board, in the conference room, and it's up to other folks. I'm not, but they could be used in the fireside. They could be used anyway elsewhere, and so that makes them available. Some other folks say the chairs in back are good enough to keep. They're nice chairs. A uniform look isn't that important. And some of the chairs would still be in excess of what we could reuse in our building now. And they could go to another nonprofit, but they would still be a waste to us. So now, if someone with the microphone could go to those hands up and let people weigh in. And if in the online, you guys can type in your comments.
I think we've missed a 4 reason I'd like to suggest. People are shy. And when they first come in or when they just are not feeling well and they want to just sit in the back, I want them to feel welcome and comfortable too. And I think that's a reason for that they're just as important as the people sitting on the cushy chairs in the front. And we want them to know that. I would send a message.
So you're saying keep these for that reason?
No, I'm saying make the same chairs that we put up here in the back.
Okay. And Ray?
I didn't know who, oh, Ray.
Ray and then Diana.
Well, the back chairs aren't uncomfortable, and they don't have arms, so they're not, people's sizes aren't as much as an issue with them. Our kids have found various and creative ways to sit on them, head down or, whatever. So they are flexible, and they are very useful for the music and the things that go on here in the, for non-Sunday service purposes, they're very useful. I'd also point out that, all due respect, the committee has a leaning towards the just get it done thing that we've heard several times. I mean, even just the fact that these aren't being presented as option 1 and option 2, they're being presented as for and against, right? I mean, there's a leaning there, right? And so that's, we were even 6 and 6, and then they said, or you could just let the committee decide. And I was like, well, we know how they lean. They're just get it done-ish mode right now. So they're like, just get it done. And so I just wanted to advocate against that. I think the chairs we have are good. They're very flexible. They're very useful. We don't need to get new ones just because we're buying others. So that's.
Thank you. Diana and then Jim. And then Colleen.
Yeah, well, from what I would like it if we could keep the existing chairs. Our main reason for replacing these is the size of the main chairs and the fact that there's an armrest in every one that keeps people, some of us, from being able to sit in these chairs, and I totally understand that. But the black chairs in the back, they're in good shape. There's no armrest to keep people from of different sizes from being able to sit in them. And I think when we talk about not being a consumer, watching overconsumption, I think this is buying something new. I mean, sure, it would be great, and it's a cost to the chairs. But we are consuming kind of to be consuming, in my opinion. We should act out our values of watching our consumption.
Yeah, we've just hired a consultant that has a wonderful eye for detail and things, and I think we should defer to her and to Sue to hear all these suggestions and see what ideas she comes up with.
There's two in the back over here, and then Rev Matthew.
I think Mary was first.
Will it add substantially to the cost to get the new chairs?
No. Roughly $4,000. I'm sorry, that's for the back wall chairs.
I think, Sue, you answered the question about the cost, but it just feels like with the capital campaign, we went back to people and we never said, we said, we really need this money to do the exterior. And we never said, oh, this is just going to be for extra decorative chairs. And so I think there should be a pause to kind of think about the finances of this.
Yeah, these are all proposals. Part of why we're able to do these things is that our contractors along the way, instead of spending their budget, looked for ways of saving money. And so we ended up with being able to add a bunch of fencing that we needed and lighting and things, and also coming in $200,000 under budget. Yeah.
Which is great. So just a note, so I'm not in favor of replacing them, but so that people can have a better sense. So these are slightly narrower, so you can fit a few more in the back. And they are higher, so although just barely, but it's so for people who aren't as tall, these may be easier to reach the ground, and of course they're clearly more comfortable. Yeah, Can I? Sure. I mean, they're both comfortable, and I guess for me, it's just kind of mostly the consumption ecological piece, and the financial part is secondary.
Okay,
But
Madeline.
I'm not strongly opposed.
Sorry, Madeline, then Bev, and then I'm going to read the ones in the chat.
Okay. Thank you. That was one of the things I wanted to point out, that there's stuff in the chat, came down from downstairs. I do want to point out that in the beginning of the process with the capital campaign, we always wanted to do things in the interior. That was part of the process from the beginning. And from a membership point of view, people form their impressions of the church when they first visit. We look at, you get used to things. I mean, think about how we tolerated the lighting becoming dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And thank God for one silver lining with the pandemic was being able to have the time to actually get decent lighting in this sanctuary. But I encourage all of you to look at this with fresh eyes. I'm not going to die on one hill or the other with whether we replace those chairs or not, but these interior upgrades are extremely important for having our beautiful historical church put its best foot forward. And so I don't think all this stuff has been in the process all along. Thank God, thank the universe, that the costs came down enough that we were able to do the interior that we always envisioned.
Bev, here's the microphone.
Well, I would like to speak from a musician's point of view who has to sit with something on her lap when you are trying to sing. Sitting on one of those chairs there in the back, it's very hard because they're really high and slippery. I found it very uncomfortable to sing there. I used to have to put something under my feet in order to keep my instrument on my lap. So that is just a musician's point of view here. So I would vote for the new chairs.
All right. Okay, and let's see. So Reverend Joy Ellen says the back chairs are not good for shorter people, echoing Bev's point. Kelsa asks what the expected life of the back chairs is. I expect they'll last forever. They'll just get more or less comfortable. The new chairs, that's aerospace foam closed cell The foam has a 25-year warranty, but it's warranted to not change more than 10% over that time. The fabric is tested at 250,000 double rubs. They're expected to, and they've got a lining underneath so that they're easier to clean, double rubs. So anyway, let me finish reading these. Let's see. Okay, and then we would not be able to match the field chairs in a few years if we need to replace the black ones. So that's a question of if we do need to replace them, can we get the same fabric in the same dye lot? And, it's dark in the back, so hopefully we could get something similar, but not guaranteed. Yes?
I was going to,
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
sorry,
mic,
Sundar.
so-
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all for less consumption, and for those who've been to my house will say, yeah, he's a pretty frugal guy. He's got, 20, 30-year-old fittings. And my parents have like 50-year-old fittings. I could tell you they're not comfortable, okay? Not the chairs, I'm talking about the setup in general. So my rule is, if I go into a hotel which has what I have in my home, will I feel comfortable? Or will a new person feel comfortable? Because I'm obviously comfortable, right? If the answer is no, then maybe we need to replace those things. If the answer is a new person will feel comfortable, maybe not.
Okay. Ram up here and then in back? Or where? Okay, whatever.
I'm sorry.
We'll get you. Thank you for waiting.
Okay, thanks. I'm Deb Fenzel-Alexander. I'm Deb Fenzel-Alexander, and also a musician, but part of my thinking is that if you have all the same chairs, it might be comfortable for someone and not so comfortable for someone else because of their height or how it works with a cello or whatever. And so I'm thinking that it's good to have another type along the back wall, because then and from what I'm gathering, some people think the chairs along the back are comfortable and some people think they're not. So exactly, because we're built in, a million different ways. So this way, there'll be two really, two obvious choices in the sanctuary for people to choose. And I just think that would give a little more flexibility, actually, to keep those. And also, they're very, basic, classical almost. The wood is very nice, and I think they have a good look.
New products often outgas. And if you have a whole room of new chairs and new carpeting, that can be a real problem for people who have chemical sensitivities. Have you considered how you're going to manage that problem?
No, to be honest. Other than we did fix the movable stained glass windows, so all of the stained glass windows that open can open. And it may be that, we're probably going to need to be in Hattie Porter Hall for a week, and maybe we need to be in Hattie Porter Hall for a month. Yeah, but, so thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, and then up here.
So I've been sitting in one of the sample chairs. My back hurts.
You're not sitting in the one that is, it's actually a different shaped chair. Why don't you come sit in this one? Anyway, okay, so let's move on up here, and then we'll check in.
I just wonder if they considered modifying the old chairs or just the seat to make it the right height or the right material so it's not slippery, something if that would be practical.
So changing the height of them would not be practical, but we did discuss whether doing the upholstery, doing a similar fabric might be, if to look a little more the same. And then there's the question of cost, because labor is so high, it's maybe the same price as buying a new chair. But yeah, that reupholstery was considered.
Can I just add my view? I do really like the lumbar support of this chair, of the one, and I'm one of the people that puts hymnals away after service. It would be so nice to have the racks underneath the chair. That would save hauling that big cart around and putting these things away. So I'm in favor of replacing the chairs with the new.
Right, that's right. And the back chairs cannot, the back chairs get hymnals on top and cannot have racks.
Oh, they cannot?
The back ones, right now, the existing back ones cannot have a rack added, and they still have to put hymnals on them if they stay. The new ones, the racks for this company are accessible from either side. And they would be, we'd stack them, so, put it, so you'd reach under your chair and grab one.
This is a question, and it's not something that can be changed now, I'm not sure, but I'm wondering if the designer approved this chair.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and as well as she looked at our carpet color and the samples and said, yeah, that's a great color, use it everywhere. She looked at it with the woodwork in the stairwell and with the woodwork in here. And so that was, it's like we could have changed, it hasn't been ordered yet, we could change colors. And she said, no, that's the one.
Okay. It's totally modern, and the building is really beautifully old. My own opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Reverend Matthew, you were next.
So just to offer some clarifying things that might make a difference. If we were to, because we talked about this on Thursday, if we were to not replace them, we could order them in the future with the knowledge that, we may not be able to get the exact same fabric. We can probably get the same model, but we could get maybe not the same, but similar. There would be an additional cost though, right? So instead of costing $4,000, it might cost, I don't know, $4,500 or plus inflation, but.
Yeah, the break point is that you've got to order at least 35, which is fine, but there's a break point at 150, which we're over if we do everything.
Right. I had some other thought, but I forgot what it was.
Just a comment about hymnals for the back seating. We could get a lighter weight, smaller hymnal rack that is possible to be pulled around. This one, I agree, you can barely pull it out of the closet. But replacing that might cost less than $4,000.
Thank you. All right, Ray, and then we'll check in with Fee about her experience of the chair.
I don't know if double dipping is allowed here, sorry. But I just wanted to point out, I'm not sure that I'm seeing the argument about the matching things. Right now we have, for instance, we have like three kinds of wood going on in here. We have the wood on the balcony edge. We have the wood of the chairs in the sanctuary. We have the different wood along the wall in the back. We have lighter wood on the, organ and some of the tables. And we have, 4 or 5 different kinds of wood here. We're already, right now, the sanctuary chairs and the balcony side are the same color, and we're losing that match. That doesn't seem to bother people. So if we have chairs in the back that are the black chairs that don't match the new matte sanctuary chairs, I'm just not seeing that as an issue. So, and I think most of the concerns, like, Monty's concerns, those were, we got the new sanctuary chairs. That was what was talked about in the lead up to this. Replacing the back chairs is a little bit of an extra thing. It may, it's small enough, but it wasn't specifically called out early on. Some things have been done that weren't called out early on. The fencing out front, some of that wasn't called out early on. I mean, we haven't had fences around those water fixtures since the 1860s, but we need them now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And that was a discussion. We had a
Yeah, I know,
discussion
and
about
not
it.
everybody, it wasn't a consensus discussion either. And the get it done-ish, people, got their thing. But, I'm just saying, the back chairs, it sounds like they're not something we need to do. And we can do them later if we need to. There's no, it's not an intrinsic part of this repair set. It's not as though they're attached or wired or connected or piped into anything. So, it could be done later when it's clearly needed.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah, but Fee, and then if there's anyone who has not spoken, we can defer to them.
in other ways, let's see if there's consensus one way or another.
I'm curious, of the people who have, shall we say, crash tested the new chairs that have been decided upon, how many of those people have prior history of back pain?
I don't know, I didn't ask them.
So I do have prior history of back pain, and the reason why I couldn't last 5 minutes is because if I didn't get up to realign my spine, I would be screaming in pain by now. Those are not comfortable for me and my back injury.
Okay.
That one, no, my butt doesn't like it and my back hates it worse.
The new one.
The new one.
All right, well, that's
The new one. I'm sitting in one of the old ones because it's actually helpful to my back.
Okay.
And it doesn't hurt my hind end either, which the new one also did.
And how are you with the black seat ones?
I am better in this chair than I was in the new one.
Right, but those are going. So how are you with the black seat chairs that are in the back?
You mean those ones?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I love those.
Okay, so those would always be here.
Okay.
So there would always be a dozen of them here for anyone who needs a more upright chair. And that is absolutely a concern.
Can we have them continue to be around the back rather than have the whole back, the new chairs? Okay.
Okay, is there anyone who hasn't spoken? Okay, go ahead.
Kind of continuing with what Ray was saying, I was a quilter for many years. And to me, aesthetically, there's nothing, having everything in the same fabric is not as aesthetically pleasing as having more of a variety of fabrics, a contrast or such. Having everything in one color can be very monotone.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see about how people feel about option one. Option one is keep the back chairs the same as they are. Okay, regardless of whether it ultimately goes to me and the designer, that's with the congregation's input. So I really want the congregation's input. That's not just me, because that's why I asked the congregation in the first place. Okay, so option one, keep the back chairs.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 up there.
Okay, do you want me to stop sharing? I can stop sharing and you can count the hands on the,
Yeah, and then John B, so there's 22 up.
stop share. Okay, do you want to put it up in
Gallery view?
gallery or something so you can count the hands upstairs or on Zoom? Okay, John B. Or you can just scroll over up at the top there, either way. Okay. All right, so we have, looks like we've got
One in favor.
one in favor. Okay, one in favor of option one.
So it's 22.
Okay, option two is, who?
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, Ann, okay, that's two.
23, okay.
Okay, all right, so now is option two, which is replace all but a dozen of the back chairs with similar chairs to the front.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Did you?
I abstain.
Okay. All right, well, it's, and how about online?
This is for option two, replace the back. Okay, a bunch of abstain.
Okay.
There's one, Jan Guffey says replace the back. Okay, all right,
So it's 23 to 10 to keep the back chairs.
all right, keep the back chairs, no problem. Oh, yeah, so, I mean, that's the question, all right, do you want to, now we've heard the congregation, do you want the option one, keep the congregation decision regardless, and option two is to give that input to the designer and see how strongly and for what reason she would want to change the back, because we haven't discussed with her about changing the back. Okay, so option one is keep the congregation vote no matter what.
Uh, 20 and then 21 Monty, and I presume John B, 22.
Yeah, John B.
I think it's...
Okay, and just for completeness, those of the, let the designer decide with input from the congregation. Okay, so we will keep the congregation decision.
11.
11. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, good. Well, that was it. And thank you for sticking in there and doing all this. Yeah, is there any questions about other interior or issues? Well, Rick?
I missed this maybe, but when you talked about the AV system.
Yes.
I know we've had, thank you. I know sometimes we have glitches, maybe some of that is just operator error or so
Yes.
forth. But are we replacing the electronics, the boards, and why or why not?
We are not replacing the boards because when mics don't go on at the right time, it's user error. We are replacing these speakers, which cut out.
Okay, thank you.
Brian? Oh, sorry, Diana.
So I have a very quick question. I've noticed the lovely gutters are made of copper.
They are.
And I'm wondering if there is a plan that if the copper is stolen, are they bolted down so that they can't be stolen? Are there plans in place for if and when they do get stolen?
So that was a concern we raised with the contractor before he put them up. And he said, well, I've got them elsewhere around and they haven't been stolen. So we said, okay, the downspouts can be copper once, and then we'll figure it out if they get stolen. Most of them will be behind fences. There's one that's accessible. Yeah, Diana?
Sue, I, and I'm sure a lot of other people, want to thank you and Patrick for all the work you've done on this.
Thank you.
I have a new issue. I've been very bothered by that railing up there. Depending on where you sit, you often can't see properly. I don't know if anyone's else experienced that, but I hate that. And I just wonder if anyone's thought about it.
No, it's that height for regulation safety issue. Oh, it doesn't have to be that big around. So if other people let us know that's a big issue for them, then it's probably something to look at. We did not replace the brass hardware in the front because it's in the exit doors because it's too expensive. So I expect that would be prohibitive. Yeah, maybe there's an alternative. Okay, well, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, thank you all again. Hey, Sundar. Thank you.
Great work, thank you. I should have probably mentioned it in the broader congregation.